Hey. I have no idea how to start these kinds of videos, but I figured that the first YouTube video I will make is introducing me, my style of reading, how I rate things, how I read, what I love to read, just so like you can see if this is even worth your fucking time. My name is Ellie. I am 23, but I turned 24 in February, day after Valentine's Day. I live in LA. I went to school at UCLA and I've been living here ever since. I graduated in the fall in 2022 with a degree in psychology and labor studies. Don't ask me what that means. I'm from Oregon though. My family is still in the Pacific Northwest. I love LA. I'm probably not going to be here for long though. I'm going to law school in the fall, so that's exciting. And I want to work in juvenile law in some way, shape, or form. Now what that looks like yet and whether or not I'm going to change my mind when I actually get into law school, who knows? I've gotten into a few places already, but who knows where I'll end up. Exciting stuff. Random things that I love. I love Love Island UK and Criminal Minds. Those are probably my two favorite shows, like, ever. Puzzles. I could sit on the floor and do a jigsaw puzzle for a very long time. I started in COVID like everybody else, but like, you know how everyone else like got rid of that habit? I didn't. So, I love reading. I love going to bed early. I have like horrible insomnia, so like the earlier I can get into my bed, the better. Sugar-free Red Bull and horror movies. Those are my hobbies. Take it or leave it. I have ADHD and OCD, okay? So if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I can't pay attention, that's why I don't read. Bitch, I have very severe ADHD, and here I am. I read 103 books last year. Lock in. It's time to lock in. Just kidding. My Holy Grail book series, Throne of Glass, which is right behind me, and then Magnolia Parks, which is like actually right behind me and you can't see. Those are my two Holy Grail series. I'm doing a reread of Throne of Glass this year, and I'm gonna do it in like a funny, funky way. Two terrible words that I just used to describe that. Whatever. My favorite genres: contemporary romance, romantasy, fantasy, and thriller. That's what I tend to read the most. But I have goals for 2025 to kind of expand my palette a little bit. Okay, we'll get into that in a minute. We're gonna talk about the type of reader that I am. I am a mood reader to like a crippling point. I set a TBR, I never follow it. Literally never. I'm usually reading multiple books at once. So I'm usually reading like one like fantasy that requires a lot of brain power, one like softball, easy contemporary romance that I can read like before bed, and then one thriller. Because it depends what kind of mood I'm in, okay? I'm not in the mood for the same book all the time. And because of that, like, I have to read multiple books at once. But it annoys me. Like, it annoys me, that annoys me about myself. I don't usually annotate, but after Onyx Storm, I'm getting into it. I just bought a bunch of tabs off Amazon and cute little highlighters. We're getting into it. And I also love annotating on my Kindle because I like writing little comments. I don't like audiobooks. Not an audiobook girl. I feel like they make me cringe. But even more cringe is the fact that I do listen to books out loud. I just make the Siri read it out loud to me. And I feel like now that I'm used to the robot voice, like I can't go to a real person reading it to me. I'm going to be like, ew, stop. I'm a very fast reader, okay? I read a lot of books over a short period of time. I can finish probably a 200, 300 page book in a few hours. I read 103 books last year without like really trying to like read a bunch of books. So my goal this year is 150, which I know is insane and I think is a little too ambitious because, again, I'm starting fucking law school this year and I'm not going to have any time to even breathe, let alone read 150 books. But I'm kind of front-loading right now. So I've read 17 books this month already. And I'm counting them all towards my goal. I mean, why wouldn't I? I'm hoping I can accomplish that, but I might bring that down to like 125. We will see. I will DNF a book if I don't like it so easily. I don't count those towards my goals. I know that there's some people that do, which is fine. Like, shit, if you put time and effort into a book and you just don't finish it all the way, like, I get it. Put it towards your goal. My OCD won't let me. Don't ask questions. I don't really have a preference between, like, real physical books and books on my Kindle. I will say that there is something, like, convenient about a Kindle, about, like, having it all right then and there. Like, when I was doing my Iron Flame reread, I actually leaned more towards my Kindle because it made it easier to take notes. But I wouldn't say I prefer a Kindle. The dopamine hit that you get from buying a book, oh man. I just got a chill down my spine. Okay, let's talk about how I rate my books. 5 stars. This is like a perfect read for me. I wouldn't change anything. The vibes were good. I had a blast reading it. Now, notice how I didn't put literary masterpiece. Okay, that's because I don't feel that way. I don't need it to be a perfect book, but I need it to be pretty damn close. I just need to know that I had a blast reading it from beginning to end, too. Like, I was hooked right away, couldn't put it down, loved it, had the best time reading it. That's a 5-star read for me. An example of a 5-star read for me, The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I put this as a 5-star read because I had such a blast reading it. It was so quick and easy. It had a great love story. It had like a decent amount of spice, like enough that I was like, cool. That's fine with me. I loved the characters. I was invested in the story. I got emotionally involved. I went through the whole range of human emotion, and that's what I'm looking for. Now, was it the best book I've ever read? No, but it was still 5 stars. 4 stars. Vibes were good. I had a blast. I'd recommend. But there were some things that I would probably improve. Like, it wasn't a perfect experience. I would give Is She Really Going Out With Him by Sophie Cousins. I loved this book. I would definitely recommend this book to people. I gave it 4 stars because there were a few points where it kind of dragged on, and I was like, I might be getting a little bit bored at this, but like not enough that I would put the book down. So I gave this 4 stars for that reason. So it was really good. I would recommend it to so many people and everybody that I've ever met in my life, but like, it could be better. 3 stars. It was okay. Probably wouldn't recommend, but didn't hate. I would give People We Meet on Vacation by Emily Henry. I found this book a little bit lackluster, a little bit boring, but I finished it and it wasn't a bad book. It just wasn't for me. I think it's for someone. It just wasn't for me. I wasn't super invested in the stories. I wasn't super attached to the characters, but I was engaged enough that I finished. That's a 3 stars for me. 2 stars. Wasn't the worst thing I've ever read, but I probably wouldn't recommend. I put The Only One Left by Riley Sager. The reason I did this is because it was honestly really boring throughout most of the book until the very end, and the plot twist was incredible and I loved it, but I would never read it again, and I probably wouldn't recommend it to people who want to read a thriller book. Like, there's a lot of books that I would recommend before this, so that's why I would put it at 2 stars. And then 1 star. Okay, one of the worst I've ever read. I would never encourage anyone to read it. I feel bad, like, even saying this. Reckless by Lauren Roberts. Now, this is not even my worst 1-star read. I feel like there are, like, levels to my 1-star reads, too. 1-star reads, I have finished them. So I read the whole book, but I had a bad time reading it. This, I had a horrible time reading it. I was depressed the whole time because I'm all about forbidden love, but this was too far. This, I'm like, I don't see a universe where you two get together. So I don't see the point. So that's why it's a 1-star read for me. There's a lot of... Lauren Roberts is kind of known for, like, a lot of grammatical errors and things like that. Normally they don't bother me in a book. I don't think they're as bad in this book as they are in Powerless, but I liked Powerless way more than I liked this one. And I didn't like Powerless very much. So that's how I rate my books. Now we're going to talk about some goals for 2025. I mentioned earlier I want to read 150 books. We might reevaluate, but for now, 150, baby. I want to find one recommendation for as many genres as I can. Okay, so I kind of mentioned that I only really read those 4 genres. I want to push myself. Okay, I want to read historical fiction. I want to read more thriller. I want to read more horror books. I want to read more nonfiction. It's going to be really tough for me. Sci-fi. Although, does a 7-Year Slip count as sci-fi? I don't know. I want to read more queer romance. I had a big month for queer romances. And you know what? I haven't really left that phase yet. I want to reread Throne of Glass with Assassin's Blade first, and without doing the tandem read. I'm going to do a whole video on that. And I want to get through my physical TBR. That's a long shot. I'm well aware of that. There are also some authors that I wanted to read this year. One of them was Abby Jimenez. I've already checked her off the list, baby, but I still need to read Just for the Summer. I want to read Brandon Sanderson, but I'm so scared. Because not only are his books like big, they look complicated, and I don't know where the hell to start. Anyway, I want to read Stephen King. I love a Stephen King movie, so I can't imagine I'd hate the books, but those are also, they've got some girth on them. And I want to read David Ellis. He's like a big thriller guy, and you know, thriller's my roots. I feel like I need to get back to it. I feel like I'm missing out on something. So yeah, those are my reading goals for the year. Let's see if I actually accomplish any of them. We're already off to a good start. You know, I hope you guys stick around if you want to hear me talk about all sorts of different kind of funky, silly book things. Why do I keep saying funky? Do I keep saying funky? Have I said that more than once? Whatever. Anyway, thanks for coming, guys. Super excited to be here. Excited to read. There's so many good things to read this year. There's so many good anticipated releases from some of my favorite authors. We're going to get up into it. We'll see you next time.